At some point in your life, you have felt pain. We all have. Maybe it was a scraped knee while cycling, or, even worse, your pinky toe making violent contact with a table leg in the middle of the night. In that microsecond, you're convinced that this is it, the absolute peak of biological suffering. It wasn't, not even close, because somewhere in the fossil record there are deaths so brutal that the evidence of what happened survived millions of years inside bone and rock. These are not horror stories, they are cold cases. Prehistoric crime scenes have been reopened by modern forensic science that is only now precise enough to read what the fossils have been trying to tell us for millions of years. And what it says, yes, early humans were hunters, but every single day was a negotiation. Be my menu, or I will be yours. And for millions of years that negotiation did not always go in our favor, because at this fossil, this is the Taung child, 2.8 million years old, 3 to 4 years old when it died. An Australopithecus africanus, not fully human, not fully ape. And before you look at anything else, look at these two holes in the eye sockets. Clean, precise, perfectly circular, something made those. This fossil was discovered in 1924 and immediately became one of the most important finds in the history of human origins. But the question of how this child died became a mystery that would take nearly 100 years to solve. The answer seemed obvious. A leopard, silent, fast, the most dangerous thing in the South African landscape. But the leopard was innocent. In 2006, a researcher named Lee Berger looked at those two holes with modern three-dimensional forensic analysis, and the leopard theory collapsed immediately. The angle was wrong, the geometry was wrong. A leopard attacking from the ground cannot produce two perfectly circular simultaneous puncture wounds in both eye sockets. But there was one predator whose talon strike matched those holes exactly. A prehistoric crowned eagle. But wait, a bird hunting a human? How does that even work? So this is what happened. It is a hot afternoon and a small group of Australopithecus africanus is moving through tall grass near a limestone cliff. Among them is the Taung child. It has wandered just a few feet from the adults, maybe drawn by a piece of shiny stone, or maybe an insect. But while it looks down, danger is already circling above its head. High above the savanna, a prehistoric crowned eagle is riding the thermal vents. Wingspan of nearly 6 feet, talons as thick as a leopard's claws, completely invisible against the glare of the sun. It tucks its wings and drops at 80 miles per hour. Before the child can even scream, the killing claws pierce through the thin bone behind the eye sockets directly into the brain. Instant death. The eagle carries the body to its nest on the limestone cliff. Over the next few days, it defleshes the skull with its hooked beak and drops the cleaned skull over the side. It falls into a limestone fissure below, buried by dripping minerals for 2.8 million years until Raymond Dart pulled it out of the rock in 1924. For 100 years, we blamed the wrong animal. It took until 2006 for the bones to finally tell us the truth. And if you think that is the worst way one of our ancestors died, you have not seen the next fossil. Every living thing needs water to survive. But 1.8 million years ago, a trip to the river was a gamble with a monster. This is the story of specimen OH8, a handy man who met the ultimate river terror. It was discovered in 1960 in Olduvai Gorge, Tanzania. And it is just a foot. No leg, nobody, no skull. Just a foot sitting alone in the fossil record with no explanation for where the rest of this person went. In 2012, biomechanical analysis finally read what the fracture patterns in the ankle bones were saying. High-torque spiral fractures. The kind of damage only produced by something grabbing the foot and spinning with enormous force while the person it was attached to was still alive. The victim was a Homo habilis, smart enough to watch the grass for leopards, smart enough to scan the tree line for danger, not smart enough to watch the water. The predator was the Crocodilus anthropophagus, which literally means the human eater, a 20-foot prehistoric crocodile bigger than any Nile crocodile alive today, found specifically and repeatedly in the same locations where early humans gathered to drink. It did not end up there by accident. It was waiting. A Homo habilis kneels at the muddy edge of a lake. The water is perfectly still. No ripple, no sound, no warning. The human eater has been lying motionless below the surface the entire time. In a literal explosion of water, the crocodile launched itself forward using its massive muscular tail like a spring. Before the Homo habilis could even register the splash, the crocodile's jaws, lined with bone-crushing teeth, clamped onto the ankle. The sheer force of the bite likely shattered the bone instantly, but the human eater didn't stop there. Using the weight of its own body, it immediately retreated into the deeper water, dragging the screaming hominin off the muddy bank. Once in the water, the crocodile triggered its death roll, spinning its massive body with such violent torque that the ankle joint simply could not hold. The foot was twisted off at the joint and flicked away into the soft, deep mud of the lake bed, while the rest of the body remained locked in the predator's jaws. While the foot sank safely into the silt to be preserved for nearly 2 million years, and OH8 is not alone. Early human leg fossils from Olduvai Gorge consistently show the same pattern. The feet are missing, not damaged, not scattered, simply gone. For thousands of years, Crocodylus anthropophagus learned when humans came to the water, and it waited. Only the foot remained to tell the story. And if you think dying at the water's edge was the worst way one of our ancestors could go, wait until you see what was waiting for them in the dark. So we got the leopard wrong in the last case. The Taung child was not killed by a leopard. We blamed it for 100 years and it was innocent. But do not feel too sorry for the leopard, because this next fossil proves that leopards were absolutely killing our ancestors. Not the leopards we know today. This is specimen SK54, 1.8 million years old, discovered in Swartkrans Cave, South Africa. 2 holes in the back of the skull, 2 clean, perfectly circular punctures. It looks like an execution. In a way it was. The victim was an adolescent Paranthropus robustus. For decades, scientists argued about those 2 holes. Then, in the 1970s, researchers found a leopard jaw in the same cave. When they pressed the lower canines directly into the holes, it was a perfect 1-to-1 match. Today's bite force analysis confirmed it was 20% larger than any leopard alive today, big enough to carry a full-grown Paranthropus 20 feet straight up into a tree. So, this is what happened. It is the middle of the night. Pitch black. The Paranthropus is sleeping. The leopard moves through the darkness without a single sound and strikes with a precision kill bite to the back of the skull. The lower canines drive through the base of the brain simultaneously. The leopard hauls the body 20 feet up into the branches, and somewhere during the feeding the skull snaps off and falls straight down through a narrow limestone shaft below. Sealed for nearly 2 million years until researchers find it and spend decades staring at those 2 perfect holes. The answer was in the same cave the whole time. The murder weapon and the victim separated by nothing but limestone and time. And if you think that is as dark as this story gets, the next case did not happen outside. It did not happen in the water. It did not happen in the trees. It happened inside what we thought was our home. For nearly a century, we called the cave the home of a peaking man. Look at these skulls, the remains of Homo erectus, discovered in Zhoukoudian Cave, China in the 1920s. They are not cracked. They are not shattered. They are peeled, open from the top with a precision and force that no rock and no tool produces. The predator was Pachycracuta brevirostris, the giant short-faced hyena. Imagine a modern hyena and then double it. 400 pounds, the size of a grizzly bear, with a bite force so powerful it could turn a solid elephant bone into splinters. For 80 years, scientists argued that Homo erectus lived in this cave and the hyenas simply scavenged the bodies afterward. But taphonomic AI software ended that argument permanently. The damage was not consistent with scavenging. The humans were being brought there as prey. This was not a human campsite that hyenas occasionally visited. It was a hyena den, and the humans were the food supply. A small group of Homo erectus huddles at the entrance of Zhoukoudian Cave. They have fire. They believe the cave behind them is safe. But the Pachycracuta does not come from the entrance. It comes from the deep tunnels at the back where the firelight does not reach. It grabs and drags, pulling a victim backward into the darkness before anyone can react. And then it opens the skull. The Pachycracuta uses its massive premolars to grip the top of the head and crack it open like a nut, peeling back layers of bone to reach the brain inside. And the final proof came from the cave floor itself. Fossilized hyena feces. Coprolites, filled with human bone fragments. Not animal bone alongside human bone. Human bone specifically, in concentrations that confirmed this had been happening consistently for thousands of years. The cave floor was not ash from human fires. It was the waste of a predator that had been using this place as a feeding site for longer than we can measure. We did not conquer the caves. We survived them. Barely. And every instinct you feel in the dark, that chill, that urge to find the light, that refusal to go where you cannot see, that was born in places like this. 4 cold cases. 4 crime scenes, a bird, a crocodile, a leopard, a hyena. All of them separated by millions of years and thousands of miles. All of them telling the same story. For the vast majority of human prehistory, we were not the hunters. And the only reason you are here watching this is because somewhere in that long, brutal negotiation, your ancestors made it through. Thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.